We are recording.
Make it so.
Yeah, so let's introduce ourselves. Cara, you go first.
I will do that. Hi, my name is Kara. I am a social media strategist and coach, and I help small business owners end their frustrations with social media. So I work with small businesses that are pretty well established, some startups and solopreneurs, but small businesses that understand social media as essential for their marketing plan nowadays. And they realize they're not the expert, and they need to offload it because they need it done right. And they're tired of wasting time for little to no results on social media. So it's kind of the perfect blend of the established business owner, but they're not so old school that they're not up to speed on social media and the importance that it plays nowadays in marketing. So that's me.
Okay, so I am Kat. My business is called The Straight Talking Ginger. Kind of does what it says on the tin. I work with entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners to give them a much loved boot up the ass because we all procrastinate and we all faff and we think we're being busy. And here's the truth: we're not being busy.
You're being not productive.
No. So I use profiling techniques. My background is intelligence and psychology and criminology. So I now use profiling that I used to use with really bad people on really nice business owners. And that helps you understand yourself a bit more and then how to run your business, because the foundation of your business is you. And I'm very much, Cara will know this because I bang on about it all the time, is I'm very much about creating your own personal blueprint rather than following other people. It's good to have role models, it's good to get ideas, and it's good to read a whole host of stuff that's out there flying around the interwebs. However, create your own blueprint and then the rest really comes quite naturally and it doesn't feel like hard work, I promise. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell, if that makes sense.
Totally does. And apologies for interrupting you. I totally was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was speaking to you. You see, speaking to you.
So Kat and I met because we are in a awesome Facebook group for solopreneurs. That is a very supportive and resourceful group that is not all about self-promotion, but it is all about helping each other figure out this game of entrepreneurship that we're all in. And Kat and I have similar backgrounds, and we just got to talking and realized that so not only are we on the same page with pretty much everything when it comes to business and just attitudes and personality, but that our subject matters were very complementary. Social media is probably the #1 way that small business owners lose their productivity. So Kat talking about your own blueprint, how do you be productive, how do you get things done, it goes hand in hand with me teaching small business owners how to not waste time on social media. So that's kind of why we started this whole little Kat and Kara and Kat show.
Show, I know. And it's funny because every week we have a little chat before we come on air, and we're always thinking, oh, we always kind of put out the same topic for consistency, and we wonder, oh, are we going to come up with something? We always do, because there's so much.
Well, and we were talking beforehand, as we always do, and we don't really discuss so much the Blab. We just catch up and we're like, what's going on with you? What's happened this week? What's, whatever. And out of those, just catching up, business conversations always, every single time, comes up with, this is what we need to talk about today.
Definitely. We always have an experience. It's always personal experience that brings us to the chat.
Right. Definitely. And I think we both learned a lot, and since we've started our own businesses, and it's just something that it's like, why would you keep that information secret as far as tips and tools and just helping other people navigate what they're doing.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that when you're in some groups and people have clearly worked something out and then they won't share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate that.
Unless it's something you've spent your money on, or you know, whatever. But if you figured out a better way to do something, or whatever.
Yeah, be the helper. Be the helper, people.
Exactly.
That's my top golden nugget tip for today. Be the helper.
Be the helper. Absolutely. So what are we talking about? Oh, so we're talking about today in social media and productivity.
How to work with clients. So we've both had experience. The names will be changed to protect the innocent. And
innocent, even guilty.
Where you work with a client and it's the old Pareto principles of 80-20, where 20% of the people take up 80% of your time, and they're not action takers. So Cara and I are the type of people who are wanting to attract those action taker type of people who get it, know they need to get something done, and understand it. By bringing a professional on board, it gets them moving so much faster, and that's what they're paying for, the outcome of that and the removing the hassle of that. But what we've both experienced in the past is clients who don't work like that, in terms of just being able to have a conversation, just being able to respond to emails, just being able to be respectful of the fact that, you know, you can get free advice for maybe the first short session, and then really it's about paying for the service after that. And it's been really interesting. Both of our experiences are very similar in that respect, that you'll always get people who come and kick the tires. Yeah. But then they want to kick the tires even more.
Over and over and over.
Yeah. And it's just rude. That's really the point that we're making today.
Well, it's disrespectful. If somebody's acting that way, it shows that they don't respect what you're doing and your time and your expertise. Really, that's what it is.
Yeah, so, definitely. And it's really just, actually, we're hoping if MD had the answers to that, if MD wants to join in, because we're just chatting about it, because we don't have all the answers, and it's different to each individual person that you come across that maybe wants to do that or maybe treats you like that. And it's finding ways to keep your morale up, because at the end of the day, we're all in business, we all want to make sales, and you're trying to attract the right type of client. So whilst you might have an ideal client in mind, it's trying to attract the right people who wants to work with you and understands how you work. And both Cara and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Cara, but
whatever.
Both of us like to work, as I've said, with action takers, and we're both very direct people, because we understand that that's how you cut through the fluff and that's how you get to that outcome. But some people don't want to work like that. Now, I personally have said no to clients sometimes, to say, look, we're not the right fit. And it's hard to do that when you're running a small business and every sale counts. But the reality is, if you're then working with somebody that it's not the right fit for, it's always going to be a bit of a clunky exchange.
I did that last week. I just had to do that last week, where it was very obvious, and I won't get obviously into too many details, but it was very obvious that I was going to spend way more time managing the client versus doing the job. And that is not what I want to do. And it would have been a significant amount of money, but the time that I would have spent way above and beyond what I was actually getting paid managing this client was like, no, I can't, I don't want to do that, and I can't do that.
Yep.
So some of that, and you know, Kat, what you do with the blueprint and managing like where people's energies are throughout the day and whatever, that is a very significant part of client management, is how is this person affecting your energy, or how is this project affecting your energy, and what is it taking out of you, and what are you getting from it?
Yeah, definitely. Because you kind of need to work out, you know, if you're one profile type. So for instance, I'm what's called a mechanic profile. So I'm very much about, I can come up with the ideas and I can do the strategy, the big strategy thinking, but ultimately I like to make systems better. I like to make things really efficient as they can, and I want to get that outcome for people. If I work with somebody who's called like a star profile. Now, star profiles by their very nature are very twinkly and they're very front facing of their organisation and they're very people driven. And I'm like, do you speak a different language from me? You know? Yeah. And working with clients like that for me are quite a challenge because they're a very different personality type from me.
Yep.
And the way to find the middle ground is to almost kind of understand that they're communicating on that outward level and I'm more about the, well, here's what's inside your business and let's have a look at that. And that kind of works out that way. But ultimately, you always need to kind of find that client who's action orientated and wants an outcome. Because what I find, and I find it really strange, that people will book your time, they'll pay maybe a deposit, and then they don't follow through.
I've had this happen in the last couple of weeks as well, where I'm like, I want to provide what you've paid a deposit for, but you can't keep that hook in my time.
Yeah, totally. Energetically, it's not good for your calendar because you're constantly then thinking, I can't move forward to book another client because I haven't heard back from that client, because we're customer service focused. Right. It's about that delivery and giving people value based on what they're paying for you.
Right.
So I find it really interesting that some people will book, it's almost like they book your time and they pay for it to put that hook in, knowing that they won't come back to you for maybe another month, but haven't actually communicated that. And I suppose what we're saying is, both as a client and, you know, as a business owner, that communication, I know it's an old thing to say and it's a bit boring, but that communication has to flow and you need to find a way to keep that open. So they might communicate differently from you.
Right.
They might want to be communicated with differently from you. So I quite like email because then I can list everything out. Or like Cara and I we're doing a bit of collaboration in the future. So we've got like project management boards where we've set up similar things. Bit difficult to do that with clients sometimes. Some clients just want to chat on the phone. That's not my thing, but I understand that if to get the best out of them and to get the results that I want, I need to maybe engage that way. So I suppose it's just having that understanding. We all communicate differently. We all take in information differently, and we need to have that respect that we maybe need to adapt.
And it's important to establish with your, and I'm learning this, it's important to establish with your clients how you want to be interacted with. So for me, I don't want to talk to my clients on the phone unless it's prearranged. Like if you want to schedule a time to talk on the phone or Skype, that's totally fine. But calling me out of the blue because you want to chat about something, I can't, it takes a lot of energy for me to do that. And I like to have everything in writing via email.
Yeah. And that's why we work with you, because you've got it then detailed out. Yeah.
And I am like a 99% visual person. If you tell me something like audio, it's gone. I'm like a goldfish when it comes to people like telling me something. I have to see it or it doesn't stick.
Yeah.
So I know that about myself. So when I start to interact with a client, they may be someone that they just like to pick up the phone and talk and whatever. And I have to lay that like, and I try to not come across as like, this is how you work with me. I try to be much more kind and collaborative about it. But I also make sure and stick to my boundaries, which is I have a very specific way that I lay out my day and that I work. And if you interrupt me because you want to chat, it throws me off. And that's just, I can't be productive if I'm being reactive instead of proactive with my clients.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's that line between here's what it's like to work with me and I won't be flexible, because you're not saying that. What you are saying is I need to set out very clear boundaries, and that's absolutely the right thing to do, because let's face it, back to the tire kickers that we talked about right at the beginning, people will always push that boundary to see if they can get more out of you. That's just human nature. It's not a malicious attempt at trying to, kind of steal money or steal time, but people will always push that boundary. And I think as long as you're really clear with your boundaries, And I was telling Cara about Erica Napolitano, who just cracks me up. If you get a chance, you should all nip over to her. Don't do it during the Blab, obviously. You're getting good stuff here.
Don't change that channel.
Don't change that channel. But yeah, she's hilarious. She puts down, if you're going to go for coffee with her, you're not going to go for coffee. You're going to pay for her time, because she doesn't want all that. Oh, let's have a coffee, let's chat up, and then try and suck you dry of all your information, because it's not how to treat people. And I suppose it's just finding that way to work as a client as well and be respectful, because I always say it's not about how you want to be treated, it's how others want to be treated as well. And people would really hacked off if you just did that all the time. And if you think about it, particularly in the online world, I know I've created free mini courses, I've created free workbooks, and you're giving value, so you like to think, all of the time, and you're constantly asking your tribe or your clan, whatever you want to call them, is this what you want? Is there something else that I can do? And by doing things like this, Cara and I do a Blab every week for an hour and a half to allow people to ask questions. And, okay, we come on here and we have a bit of a laugh and we chat. But we like to think that we're giving of our time as well. So, but there has to be a boundary of at what point that turns into part of your business. And I think people just have to understand that. People are not just there to take. Be the helper.
This was kind of because I started doing this a few weeks before you did.
Yeah.
And it was my solution to, I don't have time or the money, quite frankly, to be meeting people for coffee 5 or 6 times a week so they can pick my brain.
Yeah.
I want to get on here and answer questions. I mean, I'm not going to give away the farm, but I want to answer questions so that I don't have to go out and meet people for coffee 6 times a week, because that is a huge amount of time and effort. So, and then Kat started playing and we realized we should be doing this together because we're awesome. So, but it just, you really got to pay. Every client is different. I've had clients where I'm like, I've spotted you a mile away and I know what kind of person you are, so I'm not going to give you anything. And then the client, like I have a big retainer client that is wonderful, and she works with me the way that I want to be worked with. She trusts me to be the expert. She defers to, like, I think we should do this. She says, do whatever you think. She pays me on time, and she's wonderful. So when she hits me up on chat at 8:00 at night, I answer her because she's a wonderful client. If it was somebody that was not like that I was having to expend a lot of other energy on and just didn't work with me like that, I wouldn't do that. So you've got to be flexible, I guess, and be very, you got to pay attention and be intuitive to the feeling you're getting from whatever client you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the key point there for me, Cara, is exactly what you said. It's how you feel when you work with that person, and you feel brilliant when you work with that person because you've set the boundaries. They understand what it is that you're delivering for them in terms of an outcome. They like to work with you, and they trust you. And this is really the core of all of this stuff, is trust. Because if you don't trust your client and they don't trust you, it's going to break down really quickly. And it's been able to build that trust and rapport and then get into what it is that you need to deliver on. Because otherwise, you're going to, you've set up in business for a reason, to do things for yourself. And the last thing you want is within your own business empire is to pull the duvet over your head that morning when you've got to speak to that awful client. That's a horrible feeling to have. And I don't think
you might as well just go get a job.
Well, exactly. Nobody's set up in business saying, oh, I want to work 8 hours a week and I want to work with arseholes. Excuse my French. And it's so tempting as small business owners to always be making that sale and always having that feeling of, should I just work with them because it would be really quite good to have some cash flow this month. And I know that's tempting, but I can guarantee, and just as you said, Cara, what will happen is it will take up far much more of your time working with that individual if you agree to go ahead. And I would say, listen to your gut on those occasions, have that space and listen to your gut, because if your gut's going,
Ugh.
it's usually not far wrong.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
you've
it's just
also got to judge how much information you want. I mean, it's okay to give a little bit, but you also don't want to establish the relationship with the client that you're giving them your knowledge and your skills for free, just because they're, especially with this, obviously with the service-based businesses.
yeah,
I had
yeah.
a meeting the other day for somebody who wants a website built. And it was a wonderful meeting and it went really well. And she was very like, this all sounds good. She was very straightforward. I was very straightforward. It was wonderful. And she said, I'm probably going to have some follow-up questions for you. I said, sure, no problem. So she gave me the list of questions. And one of them, because we had talked about Facebook, and one of them was, what's the quickest way to get Facebook likes? And I thought, so I gave her a little bit. I said, the quickest way that you can get Facebook likes is paid ads. And there is an entire strategy and method and tactics to use to do that correctly, which is what people pay me for. So
Yeah.
I'll give you the answer, but I'm not going to tell you how I do it, because that's what my skill is. So, and it wasn't like I wasn't offended. I wasn't whatever. Versus maybe somebody else who I can see them coming a mile away as someone who just wants to pick my brain, and I don't give them anything because I know that I'm not going to get anything out of it. So again, you've just got to weigh the interactions and go with your gut, like you said, Kat. And you don't have to be hard and fast with, this is what I allow and this is what I don't. You just got to be aware and mindful.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, when I think about the free stuff that you've given away, Cara, you know, you've done your Instagram mini course, and then followed that up with a paid call. And I think that's what people expect, because then they get a chance to see what it is that you can do. They get a taster for how you work and what you offer. And then they can make a choice about taking that to the next level. And I think that's what it is. You're giving away value all of the time, or that's really what the aim is to do. And some of the things that I give away could be paid things, and I might turn them into a paid thing in the future. But if it helps somebody in the meantime and then it engages them through a process, then that's fine. And it's a good feeling to do that, to be able to give away an awful lot of value. But it's always those individuals who just take and they take, and then they want more and they want more. And those are the people that we're kind of talking about, that, you know, and they become the really difficult clients because they don't really know what it is that they want.
That's, you know,
they're so, yeah, they don't really have that. What's the next bit?
Yeah, and especially with service-based businesses, like Kat, you work with small business owners. I work with them too, but you're providing like business services, and I'm providing social media services. And there's a lot of people out there, and I've been guilty of this as well, trying to figure out like, what do I spend my money on and what do I do next? Where they know they need help with something, but they don't know enough about it to know what they need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with having a chat with somebody and finding out where they are and finding out about their business and figuring out if you can help them. That you should do that. That is how you turn them into good clients. It's not like there's a difference between a consultation where you're finding out if somebody is a good fit and somebody picking your brain for the services that you get paid for.
Totally. And I got contacted, I was away on holiday, so it was just before I'd went on holiday. A girl had contacted me through LinkedIn locally from a university, and I didn't really think much of it. And when I returned from holiday, she had said, oh, we're doing an event in January. It's for students, photography students. There's going to be about 40 of them. Would really like to get you in to do a session. And she was happy to go ahead. If I had said, yep, I'll come in and do that, she would have done that. However, I kind of came back to her and said, actually, I'd quite like a face-to-face chat, because I might not be what you're looking for and you might not be the right fit for me. So let's get together. And that's exactly what we did. It's qualifying that sale over over a chat. It wasn't her picking my brains. It was, okay, well, here's what we need. Here's what I think you deliver. Is that what you deliver? And we chatted it through, and that was it. It was kind of qualifying that sale and that client.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about, oh, I just want to sit for an hour and a half and try and learn everything so that we can get in and just deliver it ourselves or get somebody else to deliver it for us. It's just about taking that time to understand. And I'm happy to walk away, even if it would be nice to have that sale. I'm always happy to walk away if I don't feel that that's the right fit for me or it's not the right thing.
And that's a really good point, the qualifying your client. Don't think of it as you're giving away 20, 30 minutes for free. Think of it as you're spending that time to qualify the client so you don't waste time on somebody that is not a good fit. That's how you
definitely.
For sure. I'm actually thinking of, so I'm working right now with somebody who's helping me set up my funnels as far as like, not so much automate, well, it will be automated, but like the email follow-ups and the whole funnel system, because I don't quite have my brain wrapped around that process. And I know enough to know that I don't have the time or the energy to figure it all out, and I just want it done right. So I'm paying somebody on time to do that. Yeah. You know, we were talking about what do I want to get out of setting up a funnel, and she said, well, do you want to get out of it selling, you know, your $15 how to do multi-level marketing on social media? And I thought, you know, I'm really looking for the client. I offer lower end services, middle services, and high end services. And so I'm looking for a steady stream of those grande size clients, you know, that middle ground. And the people that are going to buy the $15 multi-level marketing course for social media, that's fantastic. But those are the tall size clients, which is great. I'm not turning that down, but that's not necessarily what I want the focus of my funnel to be. And I realized what I'd really like to do is have the follow-up be, here's a link to my calendar. If you're interested in my services, if you have questions about whether you think I'd be the great fit or whatever, 20-minute consultations.
Yeah.
And again, not 20 minutes of you get to pick my brain, but 20 minutes of, I need social media. This is where I'm at. This is what I want to do. Are you a good fit? You know, the questions to me. And those are the clients that I'm going to get that grande sized, you know, product from. So it's being aware of how do you want to work with people? What are your goals? And obviously understanding what you're not good at or what you don't know, and paying somebody for it. And I was telling Kat in our chat beforehand that I found this person in another Facebook group that is helping people set up their funnels and their copy and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we talked, same thing, 20-minute consultation. I said, this is my business. This is what I want to accomplish. She said, this is what I do. I said, great, sold, filled out her questionnaire, paid her deposit, booked the next session with her in the span of 20 minutes, because that's how I want clients to work with me.
Yeah.
If I had dragged my feet and said, I'll get back to you in a few weeks, I don't really know, tried to get some more free advice somewhere else, and I would have been acting to her the way that I hate when potential clients act like that to me. So you've got to act the way that you expect people to treat you. It's just basic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it. It's I got I follow a girl called Star Kichara, and she put out a really good thing. It was just this week actually, and it was about not thinking about who your ideal client is, because that's usually the tack that you take, but it's thinking about that ideal testimonial that you would want. You can reverse engineer it almost to think, what's the best testimonial that I could get for my business, so that you know the points that you need to hit in terms of working with somebody, in terms of the customer service. And I thought she made a really good point about that, just to reverse engineer that thought process. And then, you know, if you find, you said that you had a great client that's working with you like that, Cara, and it's really getting hard to find like-minded, similar people, and making a testimonial and making a recommendation for you, because that's really how a lot of the service-based businesses is done. It's not done through cold calling, it's done through people getting to know what it's like to work with you and then taking a recommendation. Some of the biggest clients I've had is based on exactly that. I've worked with some of the high-level banks, you know, I've worked with charities, director level, because they've heard, oh, we know what it's like to work with Kat. She just cuts through the crap and the fluff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we need to be. You know, we're not looking for hugs. We're not looking for softly, softly. We just need to be told what it is that we need to do so that we can get on with it. And it goes against the kind of coaching principles, because everybody always says coaches should never tell you what you should do. Yeah, I'm not one of those coaches. If you want to know my opinion, you'll get my opinion, and I'll give you options, I'll give you thoughts if that's what you're looking for, because some people just need that bit of direction to kind of propel them forward, and then they can find the next step for themselves.
I am totally, it's so funny. I am so that person where I don't want to coach that's like, well, I'm just going to guide you through your own process and your own decision making, and that give me a roadmap for exactly what I need to do when, and I will implement it, and it will be fantastic. Like, that's what I want to hire somebody to tell me exactly how to do what I need to know how to do.
Yeah, it's the how-to part. It's the step-by-step. There's so much information swimming around. I mean, as I say, I do work on productivity. It's not all of what I do, but it's a big part of what I do, and I come at it from a different way. I come at it from an energy point of view, which
Right.
people always think, what, you know, is that hug a tree stuff? No. no.
Right.
It's about how you operate. It's your operating system. And once you've explained that to people and the light bulb goes on, they're just like, just tell me how to do it. Going to just give me the map and give me a plan, and I'll execute on it. And that's the type of people that I like to work with. I'm not really interested in the, you know, trying to get. Yeah. I mean, as I said, I was given the title Straight Talking Ginger for a reason. Now, most people may have been offended. I maybe was for like a nanosecond. But then I thought, yeah, and that's what I did. I absolutely embraced it as part of my brand. And that's actually when things changed for me, because people know exactly, if they come onto my website and they see my face and they're like, she's too scary, don't want to work with her, then that's like a qualifier right there.
Well, it was funny. The last job that I had, I was with a social media agency, and it was not a good fit because I have a young child, and it was very that agency world of happy hours and late nights and all this kind of stuff. And they wanted me to travel more than I told them. You know, it was just it was really not a good fit. Yeah. So, one of the problems that I had is they were so, like the reporting that they did, whatever, was very fuzzy and kind of, we're just going to highlight the good stuff and gloss over the bad. Like, it was just really, it was kind of shady. So it was just, yeah, whatever. So when this conversation happened of, yeah, this is not a good fit, one of the things that I was told was, you know, I love this. I'm going to use this story forever. The CEO says, you know, you're just really, and he goes like that, uses that motion. And I was like, I can't wait to see where this is going, right? He goes, you're just really focused, and you're really black and white. And we're just kind of more of a gray area here. I'm not kidding you. And instead of being like, oh my gosh, I need to fix myself, I'm doing this wrong, I went, yep, you know what? I am. And there's actually nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And clients appreciate that. Clients that are paying me for services want me to be focused and black and white. So I owned it. If you look on my about page, one of the phrases that I have on there is, if you're looking for someone with the focus of a Doberman about to eat a steak.
I love that.
But it's true. So it's the same thing. It's like, I'm very comfortable with who I am. And I know that me having that attitude is more appreciated than not by the clients that I want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's the key. That's the key. This is why I always talk about your own personal blueprint, because if you look at other people doing social media strategy, they might have they will have, everybody has a different personality. And if you inject a part of that into your brand, Cara, then that's your unique selling point. This is what it's like to work with me. If that doesn't suit, then there are a whole host of social media strategists out there that you can choose from that are different from me, and that's fine. And I do the same. Coaching, I hate the word coaching. I don't really know what it is. Yeah, I don't really know.
Guiding or any other, whatever.
Yeah. And that's why I probably coined the term mind detective, because I thought the coaching doesn't really fit. It's more about getting in there and sorting out that stuff that's going on in your head. And that's the thing. If I wanted to do what everybody else was doing, then that's fine. But you're not going to stand out. And as part of that brand voice, you kind of need to not shy away from who it is that you are, or change that. Don't get me wrong. If you're really belligerent and you're turning every client off, then maybe you need.
Don't be belligerent.
Yeah, kind of need to take a look in the mirror at that point. But if you're embracing your brand voice and people get it, and not everybody needs to get it, because not everybody's your client. And I think that's the point that we always make. Not everybody is the right fit for you, and that's okay, people. That's okay. And don't try and change yourself to attract those people. Don't do that. That's really bad.
Don't change yourself, because then it's gonna talk about expending way more energy than it's worth. Like trying to be somebody that you're not. It's just, I think, Kat, is that your? I don't know if you have a G in talking. Gavin was asking for your website, so we're good.
Yeah. Awesome. Sorry, I was too busy witted on there, Gavin.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's straight talking.
Yeah, I got the best compliment a few weeks ago. I did a guest post for another blog, and somebody commented on there. I was getting towards the bottom, and I realized that sounds like Cara, because it wasn't on my site. It was somebody's, and they knew it was me just from my writing style and my vernacular and all whatever. And I was like, yes, talk about like brand recognition, being comfortable with your own voice. I definitely have a way that I talk and that I come across. And hey, Nicole, nice to see you. So anyway, yeah, be comfortable with it, and just, I see what you mean with it.
Yeah, so you've been on my website, Gavin. Yeah. Did you leave this blab, Gavin? Did you leave this blab? I told you not to. That's what it's like to work with me, Gavin.
You gave very explicit instructions. Very explicit. Just kidding.
Yeah, actually, and maybe I shouldn't mention this, but I can't help myself. So Cara and I have similar backgrounds that we've not really talked at length about.
Right.
Kind of like if we told you we'd have to kill you kind of background. So we're thinking about doing a collaboration maybe into the new year, and it's going to be all that top
secret. We're thinking about it. It's happening.
It's happening, okay. And it's all about, that what's your operating system, how do you get your social media done, but it's all about that top secret intelligence stuff, because that's our background, so that's where we're coming at from it. So when we give instructions, you need to follow them. Your life depends on it. It's like, or you don't get the next level.
You want to live. Come with me if you want. Yes.
It's like this message will kind of, yeah.
We need to crowdsource what the name of the course should be, because we haven't quite hit on it yet.
Yeah, we haven't nailed that yet, but it's got to be something around the top secret and the intelligence, because as I say, we've had quite interesting previous lives, shall we say. Yes.
Does anybody want to jump on and ask a question? Andrea, do you want to jump in and chat? Or Nicole or anybody else? Gavin, you are quite participatory for a newbie. Go you.
Yeah. I love it. I like Gavin.
Yes. But yeah, we're happy to answer, questions or what.
You're
Oh,
not shy.
God.
Believe it or not, we're introverts and we're doing this, so no excuses. No excuses.
I am such an introvert in person, but for some reason online, I am like da 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 da.
Yeah, we're both the same. It's because we have what I call the Big Brother effect. It's like that point where you forget that the cameras are watching you. So as far as Cara and I are concerned, we're just chatting amongst ourselves and having a bit of a good time.
Right.
So yeah, we kind of forget, and then we're like rock back and forward later on.
Right. I went to a holiday party. Hey, Nicole, I'm going to let you in, but I want to finish my thought. So I went to a holiday party. Am I direct or what? I went to a holiday party, and it was like 300 people. And it was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And I couldn't. There are times when I can really turn it on and do the thing, and then I drink heavily later in the privacy of my own home. But I just I couldn't get it together. And I was like, I don't want to talk to you. You don't actually really want to know how I'm doing. And I know that. So why are we even doing this? Like,
you're crazy lady.
It was hard. And I was like, why did I do this? I know this about myself. Like, I need to not do this ever again. So anyway.
Nicole.
Hey.
Hi, Nicole. How are you? I love your Christmas tree behind you.
It was it's just brand new there from like 10 minutes ago. That's why you might see the branches falling slowly coming to.
Kind of coming out your head at the moment.
It's my crown.
I love it. I love it. What's going on, sister?
Oh, I just wanted to pop in because I you know me, I'm social media challenged, and I'm on here. I'm on here. I'm trying to do. I have a Blab once a week. I love this. If of all the social medias, this is probably my favorite one. Is Blab? I think it. Yeah, I'm what do they call it? A Blabaholic. But I wanted your thoughts on with the Christmas season coming along. I'm taking a break, but I just want to have your thoughts because I know you guys are like the go-to people to hit it. But what are your thoughts about? Yes, you are.
Thank you.
But what are your thoughts on taking a break? And like I'm just taking a cleanse for the 2 weeks holidays kind of thing. So what are your thoughts or feedback, whatever?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
I'll go first. Okay. So my thoughts on taking a break is absolutely 157% necessary, but you've got to plan for it. There's a difference between taking a break and disappearing. So that was gold right there. I just totally pulled that out.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So taking a break, like last night, I had done so much work yesterday that I didn't have anything left over after the kiddo went to bed. And I was like, I'm going to watch a movie tonight. And the fact that I just didn't even think about work for a few hours, that I was giving myself that break, whether it's an evening or a week or whatever it is, but I planned for it because I did all the work I needed to do, not I'm full up, I can't handle this anymore, and I'm just gonna disappear for a little while until I'm ready. It's even more important on social media because one of the worst things that you can do on social media is to not be consistent. Not only because your fans and followers want to know what to expect, but when you start talking about algorithms, Facebook knows. Facebook knows when you post a whole bunch and then you disappear and then you come back, they go, I don't know what they go, but in my mind, I think they go, yeah, you're not really serious. Why would people like be interested in this again? So the short answer is absolutely 157% necessary, but it's taking a break and planning for it is different than disappearing.
Thank you.
Does
that's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Can I?
Please.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a question first, Cara, and you can mull that over, and then I'll give you my opinion.
Okay. Please do.
The question for you, Cara, is if you do that, yep, you need to be consistent and you need to plan for taking that time out. However, is it possible to just announce on Facebook or Twitter, we're having a break, we'll be back on said date? So I'm going to let you mull that one over while I answer Nicole's question as well, because I am a big fan of having a break. Absolute. You charge your smartphone, you need to charge yourself as well. And actually, sometimes the best solutions and the best planning for the future come from taking a break and allowing what I like to say, your brain to recombobulate.
So I had a little bit of an audio lag. So the last thing that I missed a gap in there. The last thing that I heard was, is it possible to announce on Facebook and Twitter? And then you froze and then I caught the last. So catch me up.
So, yeah, so that was the question for you. It's just, is it possible to plan? So whilst Facebook knows per se that you're taking a break or it notices that there's a gap, is it possible to announce to your followers so they know what to expect? I'm going to have a break and I'll be back on whatever date. And then I just went on to talk about, I think it's a really important thing to take a break. I think as small business owners, we forget to do that because we're wearing 23 hats. And it's too easy to keep thinking, I'll just do that next thing. I'll just do that
at
next thing.
11:30 at night. Oh, I'm just going to do one more thing.
No, you need to be really disciplined about taking that time out and switching off completely. I know that's really challenging to do, but you need to let the brain think about, especially because we're getting into 2016 and about all the stuff that you want to get done and all the new stuff that you maybe want to put out for people and be of service to people. You need to let that, as I said, recombobulate your brain and come up with some of the solutions where you were maybe stuck before and take that time to reflect. We've always said, Cara, that that's a big part of productivity, is knowing what worked and knowing what didn't work. And the only way to do that is by stepping back and taking some time out. So I would always say switch off, have those first few days to reflect, because your brain's going to be just doing this anyway. And rather than being tempted to jump back into it, I would just say reflect and then, switch off. If you need to check email, then that's a different thing. That's not really taking up too much of your time. But when you're actually talking about that constant slog of work, you need to break that cycle and then come up with the big ideas for next year. So, Cara, that was my question. The reason that I mention it is there's a group of people that I follow, an organisation that I follow, and they announced at the beginning of December, because they had to focus on what it is that they needed to get done. They announced on Twitter, we're taking a step back for a month. We'll be back on whatever date. So as a follower, I knew what to expect and I was okay with that, but I don't know what it would be like on Facebook in terms of algorithms and all of that. Jess.
So it depends on the platform. It's fine to announce it, but I don't think you can really get away with it as far as your engagement in sheer numbers in analytics.
Okay.
We have all heard the thing about like a tweet lasts 17 minutes kind of thing. Like if they put it in their profile instead of like the last tweet that they did, that might make a difference. And Twitter is not quite as algorithm driven as Facebook is yet, but they're getting there. Facebook, I don't think that would really work if you want to hit the ground running again when you're done with your break. That's going to be very much an uphill battle with Facebook. And that's just purely from social media perspective. If you don't care per se, if you're like, whatever, I do social media as brand awareness and I'm comfortable with doing paid ads and that's how I'm going to get back up to speed, or, whatever it is, you've got to weigh the pros and cons. But to just tell people that you're hoping maybe they'll see your post, probably not.
Sure. Okay, no, that's really good to know because I don't really understand Facebook algorithms. That's why we're friends.
I love it.
But it's, you know, it changes constantly, and they make little tweaks constantly. So it's not, I mean, anybody that says they know exactly what's going on is selling, they're lying. They're selling you swampland. I mean, whatever that phrase is, colloquialism, that's, telling you, what is it? A bridge in a swamp? I have no idea. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nicole?
Oh yeah, I do. So what do you suggest then? For me to take that break would be to schedule some not some tweets, but
schedule your posts.
Okay.
Schedule your posts. I had a different business several years ago, and I was pregnant with my daughter, and somebody asked me, how are you posting on Facebook when you're like at the hospital having your baby? I'm like, oh, this was all scheduled like weeks and weeks before. And this was several years ago. So it takes a little more time from the get-go, and maybe you need to carve that out by not adding the time, but maybe taking something else that's not quite as important off your plate in order to do that scheduling time. But and Kat, I think it's helpful to give your clients or readers, if you blog or whatever, the heads up, and not try and pretend like you're still there and active and doing whatever. So from a customer service standpoint, I think it's totally valid to say, you know, whether it's an email autoresponder or whatever it is, to say, I'm not, you know, I'm taking this time off, whatever. But from a posting and content perspective, it's got to keep plugging along.
Okay. So that was basically Facebook. So what about Blab? Is it too new to, what do you do about Blab? Do you just kind of disappear?
You know, I don't know yet. I'm not going to feed you some fluffy bullshit that I don't really know. So, it's, you know, it's connected to Twitter, and I always notice a bump in my Twitter following after I do a Blab. And that's one of the benefits of it. But as far as disappearing and not being on there, you know, I don't really know. There's a lot of things that you have to, you know, Kat and I promote the hell out of our Blabs every week. So it's not one of those just set up a Blab and they'll come. Like, you actually have to make the effort to go out and do it. So consistency is really more a mindset, I think. And Kat can speak to that a lot more. And it's definitely a process and something you have to train yourself to do. But it's a mindset, and it's something you should aim to do with everything you decide to take on. And if you know that you don't have the time or the energy to be consistent with something, don't do it in the first place.
Yeah. I think with Blabs, Nicole, Cara and I have tried to consistently do one a week since we started doing them together. Now, sometimes that hasn't happened because of either prior commitments or something, you know, an emergency's come up. But I think what I'm finding now is that we've done a few of them. The first thing that I do is go and upload them to YouTube. So people then kind of, so even if you're taking a week out, so for instance, there's a good chance over Christmas period that we won't be doing some of them just because the dates won't work, because we've got commitments over that holiday period. However, I think as long as you've got a place maybe on your website that points to uploading those blabs, so people can still catch up, because not everybody comes on live, as we know. They'll maybe get a replay later on if they've subscribed to it. So I think as long as you're given a place for people to go and look for them, and then the next time that you set up one, as Cara said, you promote the heck out of it, and you get people engaged again. So I think it's still such a new platform. I'm not really sure of the answer either, but that's kind of what's spinning around my head at the moment, is pointing them to.
Right now, that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it, because I took on, because I sat with Cara, and although Cara, I never came back to you to let you know you did have an impact on me. I've been putting down what you've told me. Instagram is up. So I've been doing what you told me to do, and Blab I started once a week because that's my Blab, where I know I can commit to that.
Yeah.
And the once a week, but I was just wondering, because I'm going to be running up against the same thing on the Christmas holiday. I'm not going to have a blab on Christmas Day.
Nor should you. Nor should you. I think that's kind of one of those exception to the rule situations. I mean, really. Like you've gotta have your guidelines, but be flexible. That kind of applies to everything in life. I don't think anybody would expect you to, oh, if she didn't blab on Christmas, she's not consistent.
That's what I mean. Like, cause I've got my blab is on my website and it's linked and it's embedded there and whatever, so that they're already pointed to there, and I'm promoting my blabs on the medias that I'm active. So in that aspect, because I'm talking about the soul, so I'm in a different conversation than talking about business. So that's why I just want to hear your.
And I do think it's different. Bye, Andrea. Thanks for joining. I think it's different to understand that you're not going to blab on Christmas and taking 2 weeks off of content. That's different. Right? Okay. Webgirl TJ, I'm not sure what your actual first name is, but had a wonderful suggestion that you should change your header images to say that you're on a break for the holidays, check out your evergreen content, whatever it is, and pinning a post. Now, pinning a post does not mean, that's a great idea. It does not mean that everybody's going to see it, because it's not going to continue to pop up in people's news feeds. But as far as the customer service aspect that I touched on, that's a great idea to say, like, we're taking a break, customer service issues, email us, whatever. But you should still be posting your evergreen content and have that scheduled. So, Terry, thank you. Terry, that's a fantastic idea. Thank you so much for throwing that out there. That's a great idea.
Perfect. So on that note, girls, I'm going to step out, and it's great to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Finally.
Nicole, I am going to totally hit you up for a little testimonial recommendation then, my dear.
And you have a good break.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll write one up and I'll send it to you.
I love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
See y'all later. Kat,
what a good group.
Kat, I'm seeing you as audio only. Am I still on? Is it my end or your end?
I can hear you and see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I just can't see you. See, I'm in Portland. And as anybody that's been watching national news knows, Portland is like underwater right now. We've been getting buckets and buckets and buckets of rain. So I was just hoping that the storm wasn't causing poor problems. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it seems to be my end because we too are having storms. Am I still in audio only?
Yes.
Do you want me to jump out and just jump back in quickly?
No, jump back. We can hear you just fine. So
Gavin can see me.
Make on now. Oh, you can see us both. Okay, then it's just me. Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll just continue on our thing here. Hey, Ashley Knight, welcome. So I don't know. Do you want to bring it back around to what we're talking about today? So
that's a really good point. It was a really good point that Nicole brought up, however, just about the scheduling, and because just to touch on that before we come back around again, that I'd been telling Cara that I was experimenting, shall we say, with RSS feeds to my Twitter account, and it's changed my engagement. So again, back to that, it's okay to automate, as long as there's still a person at the back of it that can come and engage and have a social media, social relationship with people. So it's a really good point that you said, that to plan your time out, but to schedule that planned time out. And I think that's really key. That was really important. So yeah, that was a good chat like that. Okay. we can
that
circle
was
back.
a very nice, thank you, Nicole, even though you're not here. Thank you for that
No, she's
wonderful little topic, because I think that was really important, especially just with the season being, I mean, everybody needs to take a break. Oh, you are here.
yes, still here.
Taking a break and needing to spend time with your family and you know, but you shouldn't just disappear. You know, you do own a business. Nobody's looking over your shoulder. You are responsible, and you've got to make it happen. So yes, you should take a break, but you should plan for it. So
Yeah, definitely.
So we've been talking about social media productivity, but specifically around how you deal with clients and how you work with clients and setting up those boundaries and all that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
Share your most popular or evergreen post with a note. Yes, absolutely, Terry. It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, so when you were talking again about the working with clients and setting expectations and setting boundaries, what I was going to say is what we need to learn how to do. And again, apologies because I bang on about this all the time. But when you leave your job and you set up in business, your mindset must change. You go from employer to employee, the other way around, employee to employer, because you're now employing yourself. And that's a very, very different mindset to be in. And you've got to learn this tiny little word. No. You've got to learn how to say no to people without feeling guilty, without feeling crappy, without feeling icky. Because no is a really good word, because it's so tempting to, I need to get involved in that opportunity because I'll get sales. Oh, I need to get involved in that group because I'll definitely get sales. No. You need to learn how to say no, and it's really hard. It's really hard.
And a lot of that goes back to Kat, what you work with entrepreneurs on, their energy levels and how they function best. I know that I do not do well with in-person networking events. Not that I can't do it, it's that it takes so much out of me. So knowing how you work, your personality and your energy levels should dictate how you spend your time when it comes to the marketing and the networking and whatever. I got so much more collaborative requests and ideas and business opportunities out of all of the online networking groups that I participate in versus going to the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and you have to know that about yourself. Again, I bang on about this creating your own personal blueprint, because for some people, networking events are fantastic. And their energy is high because they're around people and they're having conversations and they're making those contacts, and see the person in the room that's really awkward stand in the corner. That's me, standing there thinking,
clutching their drink.
Oh, it's like, or doing this with the drink, you know. And I think as long as you know that about yourself, it's not that you don't need to do those networking events, because as Cara said, they're just as important, and there's some really good people that you need to meet there. But what you need to do is set boundaries for yourself if you feel like that. So what I do is I set a time limit. So if it starts at 12 and it finishes at 2, I'll maybe go for that hour in between. And what I spend the first 10 minutes doing is standing in the periphery of that room, working out who I need to speak to. And then I go and speak to those people. And then bye-bye, I have another commitment and I leave.
I think I have said this before and it cracks me up every time. We are so sisters from another mister. Oh my God. I am like the take stock of the room, who's talking to who, figuring out the relationships that I'm observing, and all of and that is part of it's the previous career and part of it, but I will take that 10 minutes and sip on my drink and figure out exactly what's going on. And then get in, do my thing, get out. It's
And for other people who get their energy, I think we always talk about introvert, extrovert. I refer to that a lot just because it's an easy term to understand. But what you don't want to do is confuse introvertedness with shyness. It's not about being shy, it's about how you glean your energy. So introverts tend to get that, you'll get shy introverts and you'll get shy extroverts, but the point is it's about energy. So introverts get recharged by being on their own, and a Netflix session, and maybe a gin and tonic, and a blanket, something like that. And extroverts get energy from, I want to go and meet people, I want to go and catch up with friends, I want to be in that environment of talking and chatting. And when it comes to business, you need to apply that energy to suit you, or you are going to burn right out and hate your business, and you will fall flat on your face, and you'll wonder what you're doing wrong. And actually, you don't need to do what everybody else is doing. You just need to do your way and find a way to do that. It's the same with selling. I do a lot of psychology of selling, but particularly for introverts, because sales scares the pants off of probably about 99% of the population. However, extroverts are really good at going out and still having those conversations. However, the introverted side then sit for months thinking, why have I not made a sale? But if they moved into the online world, that's a great place for introverts to make sales, because although we're doing this blab, again, I forget that people are watching, and it just feels like we're having a chat, and that's how it works for me in my head. But again, you can promote yourself, you can do Facebook adverts, you can chip in Facebook groups anonymously, you can lurk for a wee bit until you find out how that operates. I'm not saying a stalk, I'm just saying a lurk a wee bit, how that operates. And that's really what I'm passionate about, is finding a way around your operating system. How do you operate, and how do you operate your absolute maximum, and then leverage the heck out of it, because that's what's going to work for you, not then thinking, oh, so-and-so is doing sales like that, I need to copy that because that works for them.
I should do that. It's so easy to fall into that trap, because there's so much information out there about how to do this, that, and whatever. And so you get into the trap of giving out your email address, and you've got all of these worksheets and workbooks and all of this kind of stuff that you're like, oh yeah, I need to know that. Oh yeah, I need to know how to do that. Or they're going to teach me how to do this. Well, it works for them. I mean, a lot of the information is good information, but it just might not work for you specifically. I know for me, I figured out really quickly that I can't do more than one in-person thing a day for my business. Like, some people will go from meeting to meeting to meeting. I can't do it. I will be like, by the end of the day, I'm like, nobody talk to me. Everybody get the fuck out of my face. Like, I can't do it. So I know that if I'm meeting somebody in person, that I'm going to take the rest of the day to have some downtime where I'm still working, but I'm doing something that doesn't require a lot of energy, like, doing Pinterest for my clients or whatever it is, where, I mean, obviously I'm being thoughtful about it, but it doesn't require that high level of energy.
Yeah. But I think that's a really sensible thing to do. It's so sensible, because again, the temptation, particularly as a small business owner, is to pack in 10 meetings. That's what I need to do. Nobody knows what your schedule is like. You have to really, I stopped having breakfast meetings. I had a few people that wanted breakfast meetings. I'm not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. I can't function in the morning. Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't need to tell anybody that. All I need to do is say, my schedule's jammed till 10 o'clock. Can we meet then? And then you're not telling complete lies. You're just managing their expectations and your energy levels. And then you're giving the best of you to that person. And that's really what it's about. And to circle back to what we talked about right at the beginning, Cara and I are very clear about, when you're working with clients, it's about delivering that outcome and really good customer service. And you can only do that if you're giving your best. Because if you turn up, if you know that you're only good working with one client or one face-to-face, then that second client's going to suffer. So if you know that, then you're not giving the best of yourself. Whereas if you can
Right.
reschedule that to the following day, that's the right thing to do for you. That's how you operate, and you should never apologize for that, or make excuses for that. That's your operating system. Whereas other people can go and meet client after client after client after client. And again, in the small business world, people see others doing that and think, oh, I need to be doing the same to ensure that I get the client. Because by the time you hit that third or fourth person, you are not giving the
Done.
best of you.
Done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have worked out, my daily schedule. I know that obviously spending time with my kiddo is more important than anything. So I take a break between like 4 and 7 where we're hanging out, we're watching videos, we're coloring, we're having dinner, then we do bath time and bedtime, all of that. And I don't care who messages me or emails me needing whatever between 4 and 7 o'clock every day. I'm not available. Now, after she goes to bed, I am, back at work for a couple hours, usually every evening. But that's the trade-off of I'm spending time with my kiddo, and there's no reason to not be catching up when she's already in bed. So
absolutely,
it's not about, I just come back to Kat, what you always talk about. It's about knowing how you work the best, knowing your energy levels. And I'm kind of a night owl. I have to get up because I have a toddler and they're little sociopath dictators. But I hit my energy levels later.
Yeah.
I know in the morning I am not going to sit down and be like, okay, it's a beautiful day and I'm going to do all this stuff and I'm going to, whatever.
You've got to be on.
And I've talked about this in several of my blogs before. After I take the kiddo to school, I come home and I usually sit for an hour and watch like a Netflix show and have a few cups of coffee for an hour. It's not like I'm doing it the whole morning because my brain needs to wake up. And I know that if I try and hit the ground running, that I'll just spin my wheels and I won't do anything well and I won't get anything accomplished.
Yeah, I always say to anybody I work with, you need to set at least 3 non-negotiables. So one of mine is sleep. Because solopreneurs, small business owners, not good at giving into sleep. But again, sleep needs to let the brain put everything back together and make all the patterns and the networks.
Your brain works on problems when you're sleeping.
Correct. I mean, why would you spend the time sitting scratching your head and thinking about a problem when you can do it when you're sleeping? Hello?
Magic.
Yeah, so non-negotiables. So your non-negotiable is at this time is family time. And then I'll get back to it. And that's absolutely what productivity for me is all about. It's setting boundaries, whether they're personal for yourself within your lifestyle or with family. You need to absolutely do that. And there's a couple of questions here I just wanted to come back to, or comments. Carissa, you mentioned about it can be lonely working from home. But I just wanted to mention, it is good to get out and speak to people. Make sure they're like-minded people and they're not sucking the living daylights out of you. Whether that's family or friends who don't get the whole doing your own business thing. We all know who they are. Find like-minded people, or as Cara and I have mentioned before, we met in a like-minded group. So find a place that you can recharge your batteries, especially because you are working from home. And I think the other one was about, so Radio Free Bob. So you're talking about allowing others to claim your calendar. It seems that you're conveniently available all the time. And I think that's a really good point, because if you make yourself available all the time, then people think, oh, well, you've got hundreds of time. Do I really want to work with you if you've got too much time in your hands? Scarcity is a really strange, counterintuitive thing. And I'm not talking about false scarcity here that you see across the internet. I'm talking about real scarcity of my time is precious. I want to give the best to my client. Here are the only times that I am available on my calendar. pick
And I'm
one
not
of
going
those.
to respond to your email at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I mean, I've got as part of one of my services when I do profiling, I usually give a 30-day email support that,
Oh,
you know, within working hours, what I say is you can ask me anything you like, not personal questions, but you can ask me
right.
anything you like about our session, about the profiles, anything that comes to front of mind, email me. And within that 30-day period, within my working hours, I will respond to you. And that's part of the package that I offer. And that's really good for clients because then they feel that
That's
they
a really
can,
good idea.
yeah, well, it means then that they can ask you. So if a thought comes to them at 11 o'clock at night, they can email me and I will, you can have that one for free, Cara Chase.
Thank you, Kat Paterson. You're
You are
brilliant.
welcome.
That's why I love you. Okay.
You are welcome. But yeah, it's a really good way of making yourself available to clients, but not compromising your own boundaries. And then it's, see, after that 30 days, nothing.
Well,
See ya.
it's like when so I build websites too. And the reason I started building websites is because my whole philosophy with social media is you don't own anything on social media. Your social media is brand awareness and it's marketing, and it should serve to funnel people to the presence that you own, which is your email marketing list and your website. Okay. So as I started to talk to clients and, you know, do proposals and whatever, what I realized is, bye, Nicole. What I realized is that if they didn't have a good website, or at least a decent one, the social media efforts were pointless, totally pointless. So that's how I started building websites. And as I was doing this meeting and proposal the other day, they were asking about changes and revisions. And I said, well, it's industry standard. And the way that I work is you get 2 revisions for your website. So I have a totally clear understanding of what you need. I put it all together. You come back with a list of things you want changed, whether it's font or graphics or, you know, whatever it is, but you come back with a list, and there's no limit on the list. And then I do those changes, and then you get one more time to make any other changes you want. So you get 2 revisions, and then that's it. It's launched. That's what you get. Because what happens, or what would happen, and you know people would do this, is they would come to you every 3 months with, hey, can you change this font? Hey, can you change these colors? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Amy Jo, hi. So, you know, you have to have those boundaries of this is the support that I offer. This is going to more than meet your needs, but you can't let people just take up your time for nothing. So you've got to have that understanding and those contracts in place. And some of that is, you know, you've just got to be very upfront with your clients from the get-go and be communicative. So everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's it. You need to be, it is that, sorry, I'm repeating myself, people, but that setting boundaries. And what just jumped into my head when you were talking about that there, Cara, is one of the things I do is, apologies, I don't mean this as a plug, but I do an online course for it's solopreneur sanity. But one of the things I've got at the bottom of my sales page is kind of what's called, you know, your frequently asked questions, or frequent ponderings, I like to call it. And I make it really clear in there about who it's not for, because I don't want people wasting their time. And it's about that natural deselection of whether it's clients, whether they're in the real world or they're in the online world. Because I don't want to then have to deal with having to give refunds to people because I've not qualified them properly. And setting boundaries for people so that they know. And I think some people can go, oh, wait a minute, you know, that's a wee bit offensive. You're saying that course is not for me, it's for me to decide. Of course it's for you to decide. It's for anybody to decide. But it's making it really clear. If you're in here and you want to give me money and then request the money in 14 days' time because you've got it wrong, but actually the action takers are cracking on with it, then it's for action takers. I don't take any hostages. Let's put it that way. If you're going to work, you know, if you're going to work with me, you work with me, you know, you don't get to put your feet up, you can put your feet up in your own time, you know, but I want to make that clear for people, because then they can go, actually, no, that's a wee bit too hard hitting for me, it's not for me. Well, that's all good as well. And it's just that, I always call it that natural deselection of people, making it easy for people to make a decision. It's like when you walk into a restaurant and the menu's massive, and the waitress comes to take your order, and everybody's like, can we have another few minutes? Because too much choice. People don't want choice, they want minimum amount of choices so that they can make a decision and move on. And that's what you really do for people, is qualify them in that way, limit their choices, give them really clearly defined options, and then let them make that choice. That's how I work. That might not be how everybody else works, but that's certainly how and it works for me.
And it's tricky. Like I was telling you about how my plan for this funnel that I'm setting up is, you know, to set up my calendar of available appointments for 20-minute sessions, not a pick my brain session, but a consultation to qualify clients. And you figure out really quickly if it's a good fit or not. In the group that we're in, right when it was first getting off the ground, I don't know if you remember this, but I offered to do 5 or 6 mini, like, ask me anything about social media sessions, because I wanted to pick their brains as far as my target audience. What are your frustrations with social media? Like, what are, you know, I wanted to get that top level picture of like, what are people's concerns with social media, and how can I put my services together in a way that resonates with people? So the whole deal was, I'm gonna pick your brain as far as your social media issues, but you can ask me some questions. And I ended up actually doing like 20 or so of these little mini sessions. And it was really interesting how obvious it was, the people that were there to just get as much as they could out of me. And then I would ask them questions and they would give me 1-word responses. Right? And then the people that like couldn't wait to tell me what their frustrations were with social media. And I got so much information and was happy to give them free advice in exchange for that information. But it was really obvious really quickly, the people that were like, how do I do this? How do I do this? Look at my website and tell me what, you know, platforms I should be on, and how do I set up this? And then I'd say, well, what's your biggest problem? Or what's your big, and they would give me like a 1-word answer.
Just so bad. It's just
a lot of lessons there.
Because that's how we actually met, was it not? I think it was. That was our very first conversation, because I remember I did get an amazing golden nugget for you, but I also hope, well, I'm assuming, given that we're doing our Cat and Cara show, that I gave my frustration. Really,
you're in.
I'm always happy to give everybody the frustration.
Well, you gave me some golden insight into the stuff that I needed insight into.
But yeah, you can tell really quickly. And I mean, because again, I'm constantly profiling people. I'm not going to lie. I'm not reading people's brain, but I'm constantly profiling you. Always. And because I've done NLP and my background is psychology and criminology, I'm not a mind reader, but I can tell by the language that people use very quickly, you know, whether it's going to be the right thing, or they're an action taker, or they're just full of bull, to be honest. I find
I would say my background isn't psychology, but being in law enforcement as my previous career, I'm much more body language, which I think lends to why in-person stuff is so exhausting for me, because most of my brain is going towards analyzing what they're actually saying, not what's coming out of their mouth.
Absolutely, and I would agree completely with that. I do the exact same, Cara, and it's a really positive thing, because it helps you make decisions quite quickly. But yeah, that's the negative side of it, that you're having 2 conversations when they're only having one. Yeah, I totally understand that. But you know that about yourself, and it's managing that's the key to that being productive, and then not spinning your wheels or wasting time with the wrong client, because they're never going to be like, okay, Gavin, nice to thank you for being in here as your first Blab. That was great.
Yeah, welcome.
You're welcome. Hope to see you again. So yeah, it's just setting those boundaries. Sorry, I'm repeating myself, but yeah, you've got to be really quite disciplined. Yeah, disciplined about what your boundaries are, or you're going to get taken for a mug. And it's so easy to get taken for a mug, especially when you're a newbie and you're in this online world, because there's going to be a lot of people out there who are more experienced than you, or you think that they know more than you. Actually, they don't. It's just finding the right people. And Cara and I have been quite lucky in terms of finding one another that complement our businesses. We've found a way where they fit together and we can collaborate on that. And it's finding those type of people, and you'll learn very quickly if somebody's,
You will. Yeah. The client that I mentioned that I had to let go last weekend, it was one of those, like, I mean, and this person was sending me like 3 to 5 emails a day before a contract was even signed, to the point where I was just stopped responding because I had spent, and it was one of those, like, you are so
I mean, it just sounds like they're not quite sure what they want if they're emailing you that number of times. It's as if they don't understand.
And I could go in, and I won't go into it, but yeah, you become really good when you are working with clients, especially I think when you're a service-based business. You become really good at figuring out pretty quickly, if you're paying attention, how things are going to go with a prospective client.
You can tell the people that it's coming out of there, and it's all, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then the body language is just going, no, I'm lying through my teeth. It's funny because on my website, you were talking about on your website with working with you, it's like a Doberman looking at a steak. On mine, it's like I can smell a lie from 30 paces, like a fart in a lift. Sorry.
My 3-year-old does that. She does that. She sees me do that, so she'll look at me and be like,
it's funny.
Like, yeah.
This is an aside. I don't know if you've seen the film. Sorry, I'm just talking nonsense. Gone Girl. Have you seen that film, Gone Girl, with Ben Affleck? Right. So my husband and I, we were just away on holiday, and we were watching it on my tablet on the plane on the way back. And he's looking at me going like this on the plane, going, don't even, because I know. I know what you're like.
I know.
I am not that individual that would fake my own like disappearance, or would I? Yeah. So yeah, but it's just understanding who your clients are. Be really clear what it's like to work with you, with that bit of flexibility, with a bit of respect about how they like to be worked with, which might be slightly different from your own operating system.
And you can tell pretty much right away if that person is going to respect your time and your expertise. And if they don't, it will not be worth it.
Absolutely. And look, we're almost at the top of the hour.
An hour and a half like flies by.
Having fun.
I love it. Having fun. So thank you everyone for joining us. We do this every week. We probably won't do it. Is Christmas
Friday.
on a Thursday?
So Christmas Eve. It would be Christmas Eve, I think. Hold on, I will check my
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So I think we're probably going to take those 2 weeks off.
Yeah, because I'm actually away again.
There you go.
Yeah, between Christmas and New Year. So, but we'll do, let's see, next week. Are you free next week, Cara? We'll do one next week.
Yep. we're here next week. So yeah, we always talk about social media and productivity. And the topic is always, well, the subtopic is always a little slightly different. We talk about different stuff. So thank you for everyone who joined us and asked questions and contributed. And Terry, it was nice to meet you. Thanks for the good tips and all the questions and everything else. Ashley, thank you so much for all the clapping. That was awesome. Yeah, have a great almost weekend and talk to you all later. Bye.